What kind of person are you? The question, you see, is quite philosophical. And you may also think that answering this question is not worth it, and this is just my hook, with which I interest you, maybe. But what if your whole future life depends on the answer to this question? Come on, I'll throw in the conditions so that you can understand it better. Imagine yourself as a medieval samurai. From childhood you were brought up in strict discipline, absorbed the principles of indestructible Bushido, cared for the welfare of the people, your honor and harmony in nature. But here something is happening that goes beyond the framework of your usual world. The Mongols come. Barbarians who inexplicably crossed the sea, who sleep and eat on horseback, but for some reason are destroying your country. And, of course, you have to fight with them in order to save everything that is dear to you. At this moment, a terrifying realization comes: they do not care about your ideals, and they are not going to fight by your rules. And, literally at the snap of a finger, the world collapses. Your army of brave samurai brothers is dead, the wise and just ruler is imprisoned in a high tower, where he is persuaded to go to the other side, and you yourself do not know what to do at all. So what kind of person are you? It is this question throughout the entire Ghost of Tsushima, as it seems to me, that our protagonist Jin Sakai has to answer. Of course, after a good kick in the ass from the invaders, an experienced warrior quickly comes up with a plan for further actions, to gather allies and free his uncle from a high tower, then, together with him, multiply the number of allies, and knock out the nomadic riffraff from their native land. It would seem that everything is simple. However, you are still alone, among the scorched earth, and there is still a whole army of Mongols against you, which will not be able to cope with simple overpowering. Something more is needed. This is where Jin's controversy begins. They are not simple, it is quite difficult to understand them, and they are fueled by different characters and actions. But from all this, internal torment becomes really good, alive and whole. In essence, the protagonist's conflict goes through 3 stages, which slowly but surely follow from each other, consolidating and looping with each completed task. The first stage is the division into friends and others. Here, at first glance, everything is quite simple. There are aliens, vile and merciless Mongols who will first come with a smile on their face to talk about world peace under their control, and then brutally massacre your acquaintances, friends and family, burning the ground under your feet. And there are friends, fellow warriors with similar ideals and simply sympathetic people who are ready to help you in the difficult task of reclaiming your native expanses. But then everything starts to blur. Their own begin to betray and change sides for various reasons. Power, money and position sooner or later break everyone. And the aliens, it begins to seem that they are not so wrong. At this moment, a conflict with oneself begins, probably one of the main ones in the game, if not the main one. The dishonest don't win, that's how he was taught. However, here they are, poisoners, robbers and murderers, walking the earth and doing whatever they want with it, while the true followers of military honor lie in the earth, or even worse. And then, right in front of you, a man appears who offers you a simple way: you have a knife, so use it wisely. Hide in the shadows and strike from it, because then you won't be caught, which means the fight will continue. And Jin becomes a different person. No, he does not do everything exactly like his opponent. He still often fights in the open, tries to follow the ideals of honor in civilian life, restrains himself from the heinous acts that his rage wants to push. But at the same time, it blurs. As if it becomes in the middle between the notorious friends and strangers. On one camp cleared in battle there is another, deserted without a single sound. At this moment, Jin becomes the ghost samurai, which uses the method of the enemy. And when that happens, the worst of conflicts begins. He is rejected by his own people, with whom he lived, fought and died, who, it would seem, should have understood him like no one else. But their answer is a wall. And worst of all, uncle. No, not because it forbids acting according to the mind, and not because it stubbornly continues to act in its own way. The conflict with the uncle is the most beautiful and understandable one presented, because it is simply a different point of view. Both Jin and Shimura see the same thing but look at it differently. They are both right and wrong at the same time, they both understand each other, but because of their life positions and experiences they cannot do otherwise. It's not just that I'm asking the same question for the third time, what kind of person are you? It turned out to be very important for our hero, because answering it to himself, he constantly changed, adjusting to the situation and bringing the cherished freedom closer. At first, he saw himself as a samurai, brought up according to the precepts of his ancestors, steadfastly adhering to the ideals of the Bushido Code, and ready to die for what he believes in. Then, he almost turned into a monster using fear, poison and hatred. But the real Jin, revealed to him at the end of the path, as always happens, turned out to be somewhere in the middle. A restrained, kind and fair warrior, pulling on the mask of the ghost at the moment when it will be useful. Perhaps that is why he won, becoming a real legend of Tsushima. Thank you for watching the video, subscribe to the RTV Gaming channel so as not to miss new videos.